Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. How's everyone doing this morning?
Woo-hoo! Doing great. Happy
All
Saturday, everybody.
All right. Good morning. All right. Well, it is Saturday morning, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which means it's time for our HealthPointe Zoom walk and talk, as we call it. And for those that might be new to being the HealthPointe program, and specifically the Zoom program, we call it walk and talk. And you'll see that some people are walking and some people are talking. But that's not a requirement to join us on the Zoom. And but what we do achieve in our once a week Zoom is we get together as a community and just kind of support each other. We don't have any special format. It's an opportunity to share things about the HealthPointe program. Again, if you're new to the HealthPointe program primarily is what it sounds like. It's about creating optimal health. And sometimes that's dealing with things like diabetes, which is certainly an epidemic in the United States, actually an epidemic in the world, but certainly in the United States, with about a third of the population diabetic or pre-diabetic. And maybe you'll hear a little bit about that in today's program. Or it could be dealing with other metabolic health issues and just optimizing health. So with that, we don't have any special format or agenda. We hang in here for about an hour, and this will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel later on today. But we do have someone queued up to get us started here because she's got a bit of a tight schedule, I believe, to later talk to somebody about HealthPointe. So we want to give her an opportunity to lead us off, and that's no other than Kathy Munoz, who remind us how many pounds you lost and how long ago it was, Kathy?
Okay. It was over 5 years ago, and it was 58 pounds.
Nice.
I was diagnosed pre-diabetic at that time. And I was also a Boy Scout leader, and we had to wear these awful green pants that were not flattering on anybody. And I was like, I want to look good in a pair of these. So that was part of my vain reason for wanting to do HealthPointe. I wanted to look good in Boy Scout pants, but obviously I wanted to get healthy. And I didn't realize until I started the program how much weight I had to lose. I never really considered myself heavy, but when I was diagnosed pre-diabetic, and I was like, what do you mean pre-diabetic? Huh? I'm not what I felt was fat. Now looking back, yeah, I was a little plump, So, but luckily found the HealthPointe program and the HealthPointe lifestyle, more importantly, because it is not a diet. It is not a quick fix. Yes, you'll find quick fixes that you can drop 10 pounds. And then as soon as you get off that quick fix, guess what? You're going to gain 20. So, because it's all about habits and lifestyle changes. And this program is amazing for that. And I'm a testament to that because it's been over 5 years now. I kept it off even during COVID, which most of the American population cannot say. As we know, most people put on between 20 to 30 pounds over the COVID period, and most of them haven't lost it either. So there's plenty of people out there that need our help. And I'm definitely willing and able to be able to be one of those. And in that time frame, just about almost 2 years ago, I wanted to start trying to see if I could do 10,000 steps a day, because our HealthPointe program recommends getting up to 10 to 15,000 steps a day for optimal health. You start the program, you're not expected to go 10,000 steps the first day. Nobody, I don't think, ever could have done that. I'm not sure. Maybe if you're a marathon runner, maybe you could. But normal people looking for this program, I don't think you're going to do that. And that's okay. It's a gradual thing. You start at like 2,500 and then you go to 3,000 and such. You can talk with your coach about increasing your goals for that. But most of the time I was on the program too, I definitely did more than 5,000 a day, but I did not do 10,000 a day. I probably was around the 7,500 range a day. Okay. So that's important to keep in mind as well. Also, I was shared a video of the benefits of 10,000 steps a day. And it was amazing. And it simply said, walking 10,000 steps a day, you can add years to your life. That blew me away. Just by walking, I can actually add years to my life. So I thought, all right, I'm going to try this. This is a goal. And I'm happy to say for 1 year, 344 days today, I have consecutively walked 10,000 steps a day.
Woohoo! Yeah.
So we are pushing the 2-year mark.
That is
sure.
awesome. You are coming up on that so quick. Hey, something I wanted to ask you, and I not to, I
No,
guess,
you're good.
put you on the spot because I don't know that you've ever discussed this on here. You know, you've had such a duration of losing the weight and keeping it off. And I frame it like that because I wonder if you can even remember what it was like, you know, day-to-day habits, day-to-day activity prior to HealthPointe. And by the way, I love what you say here when you say, you know, HealthPointe is not a diet, it's a lifestyle. You know, that's really important for people to understand that this is, you know, the diet, the mental construct on a diet is something that you kind of jump into and you quote unquote do, but you don't live. And I love that you call this a lifestyle because that's certainly what it is. But getting back to the question of, you know, you lost the 58 pounds. That was 5 years ago, you said?
Yeah, it was from June of 2018 to basically December of 2018. So by January of 2019, I definitely had dropped the 58. So what is that, like 6-7 months maybe?
Okay. So, you know, certainly a lot of years ago, and I know with Emily and I, similar, 2017. And, you know, sometimes for me to think back on what it was that, you know, we did on a daily basis in terms of eating in particular, or in terms of movement, or in terms of, you know, kind of like a compare and contrast of before and after in terms of what was our lifestyle before, what, you know, how's that compare and contrast with our lifestyle now. It's been so many years ago that it's a little bit foggy, quite frankly. And I wonder, for particularly for new people, anybody that might be listening to this for the first time, can you think back on what your lifestyle was like, you know, kind of day to day, you know, going to work, what you ate, what you did? And, you know, of course you had your 6-week cycles that you went through with HealthPointe where you lost the 58 pounds. Again, congratulations. And it's different now that you're in lifetime maintenance in terms of, you know, what you do day to day compared to when you were in menu plan days, the 6-week cycles. But can you give any compare and contrast to that before and after lifestyle?
Yes, I definitely can. First thing I'm going to say, I barely drink any water. I drink maybe 8 ounces of water a day. I did not like water. Water tasted, bleh. It had no taste. It was just, what do you need water for? So, which obviously I realized, okay, if I really want to be healthy. And I remember one time too, I was somewhere. Oh, I was at like one of those craft fairs. And this guy was selling like jewelry cleaner. And it was like, you know, the be all end all jewelry cleaner. And I was like, here, you know, take your wedding ring, you know, ring off. I'll clean it, you know. And I couldn't get my ring off, right? And he's like, oh, you're dehydrated. And I'm like, what? Like, and he said, he goes, yeah, you can just help your hands. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, you know? So that always kind of stuck out to me. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should drink more water.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first one, is I barely drink any water. So, and I was still real hesitant about drinking half my weight in ounces of water when I was told that by my coach to start this program. I'm like, water, what? But they said, trust us, you know, and I started drinking it and I started dropping a weight. And I was like, oh, okay. To me, it was like the magic bullet, you know. It seemed like if I drink, at least if I drink like 80 ounces of water a day, I was like dropping 0.4 or 0.3 because I had one of those point scales, you know. So I saw myself.
I want to, sorry to interrupt. I want to
Yeah.
inject something here that I want to make sure that particularly new people don't miss. you just said something there, which was, yeah, it's a, you about the water, but you said something before that. You checked with your coach, and that's David, right?
Yeah. Well, it was
Yeah.
Chris.
So,
It was Chris. Yeah, it was Chris.
okay, David and Chris. Okay.
David and
So,
Chris, right.
Chris, who, and I see David's on here, and Chris is, just
She's
legendary over
amazing. She dropped over 100 pounds. So
100 pounds,
she's
right?
our guru.
So I just wanted to make sure, because so often that when we're working with people on the HealthPointe program, we emphasize the daily accountability and the coach. And what you just hit on there, for you, it was the water, but it could have been any number of things. Okay. It could have been the steps. It could have been the water. It could have been fiber. It could have been supplementation. But absent of that cadence of checking in with somebody that's, helping you facilitate this journey, you probably either A, wouldn't have been made aware of it. And again, with you, it was water. It could have been something else. But, and B, maybe hold you a bit of, or, you kind of hold yourself accountable, because now that she's made you aware of it and you're checking with her and checking with David, you're, hey, how you doing with your water? So I just want to emphasize that, because, the role of the coach, of the facilitator, and that check-in process is so vital. So sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to emphasize
no, you're right.
that.
No, you're right. It was, because I just kept going, and they introduced me to our fabulous Neutralite twist tubes so that I could have a good tasting water,
Nice.
And I also started in the summertime, and I started drinking ice cold water, and that made a difference too,
Yep.
As far as like meal planning, yeah, the typical, okay, you need to have a meat, you need to have a veggie, and you need to have a side. So I was a busy mom, it might be chicken, hamburger, whatever. A lot of times canned vegetable, lots of sodium. Okay. Because it was just quick and easier.
This is before HealthPointe.
This is before HealthPointe, right?
Yeah.
And then a side. Okay. Instant mashed potatoes, instant noodles, you just, whatever kind of side. Again, something processed, something full of fat, something full of sodium, something totally not healthy, but I had to have that balanced plate. I needed that meat, that veggie, and that side.
So to the casual observer that might have been like looking at your lifestyle, your eating behavior, they might be like, oh, look at, this is kind of a balanced looking plate. She's got a protein, she's got a vegetable, she's got a carb in here. But what you're saying is that the vegetable was canned, which is processed. Again, just read the food label on most canned, center aisle groceries, and it'll rock your world. And then, certainly instant type processed foods is, again, very, low on nutrition, high on the glycemic indexes. So that's kind of what you were, although it kind of like looked, and maybe you even felt like you were eating a bit of a balanced diet. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Because it'd always be like, okay, we're going to have, barbecue chicken tonight. Okay, well, what else? Okay, well, I'll open a can of corn, and how about one of the pasta or rice-a-roni dishes? Oh yeah, that sounds good. Mm-hmm. So, it was all the quicker go-to, not really thinking fresh, thinking, that fresh vegetables are expensive. Okay. Which they're really not when you think about what are you giving up, and I never really thought too much about frozen vegetables, which I know, they're not the greatest, but they're much better than canned vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, so that was a definite dinner here at the Munoz household, and, the typical, okay, oh, we got we're quick today. All right, let's grab a pizza, okay. Oh, we got Scouts tonight. All right. Oh, we'll do hot dogs and chips, and then we'll go to Scouts. Okay. So, lots of the quick go-to foods that most of the Americans, it's a good part of your normal busy diet. not realizing that it's really not healthy. I mean, everybody knows hot dogs aren't healthy, but you know what I mean? So it's just, with having my one son, so, and most of those years I was just working as a sub. So I was home a little bit more, but I still found myself busy. So,
Right.
So yeah, I would just say really lacking the fruits and vegetables. And I really didn't eat much fruit, really,
Mhm.
you know.
So for your,
If we
so
had
for your,
dessert, our desserts were maybe a cake or cookies or, pudding, something like that. I wouldn't think to grab a
Cream.
plum or have
Mexican
raspberries and
fried ice
blueberries.
cream.
Mexican fried ice cream. Yeah, there you go, David. Exactly. That was more of a treat, though. That wasn't all the time.
hey, that's spoken by someone that sounds like they know you very well, huh?
My husband
I
does
love
make a mean Mexican fried ice cream. I will say that.
Oh, that's awesome. And speaking of your husband, he lost
85.
85 pounds. I mean, how
Yeah.
how amazing. Well, that is so great. And for those that are just joining us too, I can't get this visual out of my head, and this is the first time I've heard you say it too. Um, Before I asked you about, to compare and contrast, what it was like, 5 years ago compared to now. And by the way, thanks for that. You really dialed it in. The water, what looked like a balanced diet, but really it was full of processed food, canned foods, box foods, stuff like that, and the Mexican fried ice cream. But the other thing that I thought was great that you said, and I just can't get, maybe it's St. Patty's and I've got leprechauns in my mind or something like that. But you talked about the Boy Scouts green pants. You were like a I just can't get that out of my mind here. So, and you hit on something there that you kind of dismissed, and I think a lot of us have a tendency to dismiss the quote unquote vanity aspects of this. You use that term vanity, and I know most of us try to maybe package up HealthPointe in this manner that's more about your microbiology, and we talk about blood sugar and we talk about diabetes and stuff like that. But you know what, guys, if you can get all of that and address, you can call it vanity, call it what you want. The reality is we're human. We're not trying to say you have to look a certain way or be a certain way or anything else like that, but you should feel proud of yourself. And if it takes green pants from being a Boy Scout leader and looking better in those green pants, then good on you. Good on you on that. One of the most common things that I hear, and maybe you guys do too, if anybody wants to chime in here on this, when it comes to vanity, is how many people have heard or seen, I know I've heard this a lot when I bring people on board, is they talk about when a group picture is taken, right? Facebook, Instagram, what have you, they don't want to be feeling like they have to duck behind, or that they don't want to duck behind the group, right? So like if there's 3, 4, 5 people in a photo, and rather than being confident and proud and comfortable and being out front, they're kind of hiding behind the family photos. They put the 2, 3 kids in front of them and they get behind them. And if that is what drives you to take the necessary steps to start a program to get your health in order, then great. Because along with that, you're going to get the other wonderful, biological aspects of this as well. Because you did come into this with a pre-diabetes diagnosis, and now you're not diabetic. You're no longer pre-diabetic. So you got all that, and you got a better look in your Boy Scouts green pants, right?
Yes. And it was funny when I had pretty much dropped the weight, I could not wear them anymore because they would not fit. They literally completely fell off of me. And even the belt that I had, it was like, it's like a pull belt, and I'd have to pull it like halfway around my waist to try to get it to stay up. And I'm like, all right, I got to go buy some new ones. And they are not cheap. It was $55 for a pair, for a brand new pair, you know?
Oh,
But that you
money,
wear
money.
like, you know, 3 times a month, you know?
Right.
But, you know, so I was just like, I'm like, well, I mean, I am going to go buy the new ones because I can fit into them, you know? And I did. And, you know, and people really noticed too. Well, it was funny because as I was wearing the other ones, because I just hadn't had time, the Scout store does not have convenient hours for working parents. And I hadn't had time to get down there. And they're like, you are dropping the weight. You are not gonna be able to wear those. I'm like, yeah, I know. I need to get to the Scout store, you know? So it's just kind of a joke, you know? And because everybody saw, you know? And I'm like, yeah, before I didn't like how they looked because I thought they made me look fat. Now they're just like completely falling off of me, and I got to be careful to hang on to them so they don't fall off while I'm in a meeting, you know? So
Oh, that is so great.
so it was cool.
Such great. Yeah, you know, what a great you know, so much better to be having to go to the Scout store and buy new pants smaller
Right.
than going to the Scout store and buying new pants that have to be bigger. So I don't know, maybe again, it's just the March and
it's and that's the cool, and it's not the cool pretty green. It's the ugly khaki army green, which makes it even worse.
Okay. Now, yeah, that's right.
Wait, next time we're in person, I'll show you a couple pictures of me in my Scout uniform. I got some when you can see me all plump, and then I've got some in my skinny Scout pants.
That's hilarious. All right, well, at least the, you know, the drab green, the camel green gets it out of my leprechaun, you know, St. Patty's Day green that I'm imagining right now. But thank you so much, Kathy, for that. Speaking of how much that has probably influenced people, I know you asked to be on the program early because you're, I believe, connecting with somebody here early Saturday morning regarding HealthPointe. So we'll move on around the horn here and chat with some other folks. But wow, such great stuff there. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on, we are going to go to Carol. Good morning, Carol.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Wow, I've been absolutely slathering in all of this motivational, wonderful stuff that Kathy has been sharing, and you have been encouraging and reiterating. And oh my, it is so true, all of what Kathy said. And I kind of forgot about the pants. And I think we need to get a before and after picture of Kathy in her old pants, and then a middle picture of Kathy in her old pants with the new Kathy, where she could wrap those pants around her waist. And then the third picture of Kathy in her new pants, because we see Kathy in the beautiful dress with the red flowers, and she looks like $1 million. But we don't see what really motivated her, and that was those ugly khaki pants. So I think that is so great. And I loved where Kathy went through. I'm going to try to find a stopping point here so I can talk a little better. But Kathy also kind of went through the typical diet she had as a busy mom. And I think that sometimes we have to go back and remind ourselves of that, because for some of us, we've been on the HealthPointe lifetime maintenance and have adjusted what we think is good food today. And we kind of forget about what people just shove in their mouth on a day-to-day basis because they're busy and they know they should do better, but they just don't have the time. And so I think that was really, really important. But, you know, that was a very realistic, I don't want to say presentation, but conversation and sharing that Kathy did. And I think I've never been a researcher. You can tell between Hank and I, he's the researcher, I'm the realist. And so with the HealthPointe program, so I love Eric and Hank because they do research things that just really help me in my coaching. And I've been pretty actively coaching in the last number of months. So I've been getting some real stories, real stuff, not concepts, not what you look in the manual, but real life people of all different ages, sizes, shapes, et cetera, is successfully doing this program. So a couple points I wanted to make, and these are observation. These are not criticism in any way, shape, or form. So if you're new on this program, or you're on this program and maybe, somewhere along the way, this is not criticizing. Observation is very important because it helps you realize where you're at, and it helps your coach realize where you're at. And so what Eric said about the accountability, and Kathy had mentioned, is so important, because the more conversation you can have with your coach on a day-to-day basis, the more effective you're going to be in the program. And we've had some real nice success stories of people relatively new in the program, people that have been on the program for a while, and people of different ages, different medical situations, just a lot of different differentials. And so I think the first thing I would say is, don't compare yourself to somebody else. If you hear somebody's lost so much weight in a period of time or whatever, don't compare yourself, because you are you and they are them, and they have different bodies than you do and different circumstances. So I think that's where you really want to stay tight with your coach. But the other thing I want to really bring out, and Kathy said this, it's not a diet program. Of course, our one-liner is, otherwise we call it HealthPointe. HealthPointe is a choice program. It's not a denial program. So I think if we can get that in our minds, because HealthPointe is something that we are changing our habits, so that, okay, we've got 25, 50, 75 pounds, whatever. At the end of that period, we don't say, oh, good, now I can have my chocolate volcanoes every night, or I can have my chips and beer every night. No, this is not the program for you then. If that's your thinking, then you want to go and get some other program. Our program is one of changing your mental frame of mind and the why. And Eric brought out about the vain aspect of it. And I'll speak from a woman's standpoint. Guys might be different, but I really don't think they're that much different in this. I think we all do come in with somewhat of a I'm sure vanity enters into that. Certainly other medical issues enter into it too, and some are very important, more important than vanity. But I would say that vanity, go back and think, okay, we had a couple of instances, and this is, again, not critical in any way, shape, or form, it's clarification. Somebody said, can I have a cheat meal? A cheat meal. Well, right off the bat, from my from my Catholic upbringing, all I could think of is the priest in the confessional. Father, forgive me, for I have sinned. We don't want to get into the cheat meal situation. What we want to do is say, okay, let me address this. I've got the weekend coming up. I don't know what the scenario is, but I've got the weekend coming up, and I'm single, I'm married, I'm social. I mean, people come from all different backgrounds, different situations, but maybe they have a special dinner coming up. Okay, here's Elaine, there's a perfect example. They're on a cruise for 10 days. They're not cheating. What they're doing is they are making choices. Now, that doesn't mean that every single solitary choice that they've made, I'm just using that as an example, has been a perfect choice, but it's certainly been within the boundaries of a good, healthy program, and they're on meal plan, add more food days. But take somebody else that's relatively new, and they're just getting their whole act together. Maybe they're in their first cycle, and they're doing really well. And then they want to do a cheat meal. Well, what that tells me is that they are looking at HealthPointe as a denial program. So I would think that instead of doing a cheat meal, you might want to say, I need to look at this. I've got a special occasion coming up. Let me see what I'm going to be dealing with here, and what can I make as far as healthy choices. And so it might be, putting the bread at the other end of the table, or if you're going to have bread, okay, you've got a grain, you can have a grain in your program. So you don't have to have a bread with all kinds of butter and garlic and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to have all that, but you can have a small piece of bread, and then you're not denying yourself. Or instead of bread, you can say, well, you know what? I think I'm going to concentrate on my salad. And like Kathy said, take a twist tube with you and put it in your water and have a little twist tube cocktail instead of a glass of wine. These are early in the program in particular. So I think it's just the choices that you make to take one thing and say, okay, instead of I can't have a glass of wine, say, okay, I'm gonna make my water look real pretty. I'm gonna ask for a martini glass. I'm gonna put the water in it, stick some twist tube in it, maybe put a little lemon or a little something in there, a little cherry or something, and I'm gonna have my little twist tube cocktail. You make it fun. You make your choices fun so that you don't think of cheating like a sin. You think of cheating, not cheating, but making a better choice. And I think the other thing too is I think the accountability is so, so important. I had somebody just yesterday doing real well on the program. They were going out to somebody's house for dinner, I guess, and they were serving pot roast. And they said, can I eat pot roast on my plan? Because they just weren't sure. This is a very healthy way of checking with your coach. This is great because it gives you a more well-rounded, larger view of your choices. Well, certainly they could have pot roast. Pot roast is beef, and beef is on the menu. Just, I said to them, make sure it's not slathered in gravy with a bunch of mashed potatoes. You know, you can have pot roast. That's not a problem. So I think checking with your coach on a regular basis is so healthy. And it's also so transparent because it helps your coach realize, okay, where am I at mentally? Am I at the cheating stage where I think if I eat something, I'm going to cheat? Cheating means you can't tell your coach you're cheating. We don't want that. We don't want guilt. Guilt is the gift that never stops giving. We don't want that. We want you to feel good about yourself. So what I say is, before you go out for something like that, or you've got to make some decisions that are maybe outside of your regular daily realm, think of it as I'm going to make these choices. I want to be the strongest mentally and physically that I can be to make good, healthy choices. So therefore, before I go to the grocery store, before I go out to dinner, I'm going to have a half a bar and some water. And my blood sugar is going to go, or whatever the protein snack, my blood sugar is going to go up to that healthy level so that when I go in there, I'm going to make healthy choices off the menu. And let me tell you, from being on HealthPointe maintenance for 1,000 years, there are so many healthy choices. And what happens, and I'll just say this, what happens to you is over a period of time, the more healthy choices you make, the better choices you make instead of eat this, not that, the more your taste buds really relish those flavors. And so it doesn't become a denial. It never becomes a denial. It becomes a healthy choice. And I always remember one of your clients, Eric, and I believe the person is still on the program. And you gave them a choice at one period of time because they were going into a situation that was going to be quite challenging time-wise. And you said, you know what, given all of this stuff, do you want to take a 6-week cycle off and start up again, or a 2-week cycle, or whatever, and start up a new cycle? And the person said to you, no, I want to keep going. I'm on a roll and I want to keep going. And I thought that is so indicative of somebody that has made a choice. And that person had a lot of weight to lose. And to my knowledge, is doing it extremely successfully. And you gave them the choice, Eric, and that person took the better choice and they made that healthy choice and stayed on the program. And I thought that just screamed volumes. Now, this person had already lost, I think, about 60 pounds or something. And they had made a healthy choice to know, I'm going to keep going. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I'm seeing in the mirror. I'm feeling great about how I look, not just your person, but many people. Concentrate not on, oh, I got to cheat, but how long do I want to look take before I want to really look good and I want to feel so good about myself, and I want to feel healthy and vibrant and energetic. See, now you're doing all kinds of positive things. This is a mental detox. Is I feel so good about what I'm doing, and I don't want to fall back, because a cheat meal is only going to make me fall back into the depths of despair, and I'm going to not feel good the next day. And why would I do that to myself when just making a few alterations? I don't have to make it a cheat meal. I can make it a better choice meal. So those are just a few things that actually just happened probably over the course of this last week that I thought were real vital. And I know we have new people either on the program or going to be listening to the recording that I really want to encourage you. So that was geared really towards new people, and especially in your first cycle, because your first cycle is the biggest change. And so what the better choices you make, the quicker that you are going to get to that optimal person that you want to transform into, whether it be a higher energetic person, a person off of certain drugs, a person that just looks beautiful, has been able to get into smaller sizes, whatever it might be. So with that, Eric, I'm going to turn it back over to you. But Kathy, you were a great prelude to the things I wanted to bring out today. And this was not planned at all. So thanks, Eric. Thanks for listening, guys. And here, back to Eric.
All right. Thank you so much, Carol. You know, it's so fascinating when you're in the hunt, either doing the program as a participant, which all of us are, you know, some of us are in lifetime maintenance, or if you're in the hunt, just actively coaching, as Carol certainly is, Hank and Carol. It's just, there's so much opportunity to just have that fresh, real content. You know, like you said, Carol, this isn't theory, this isn't, you know, hyperbole. This is it's real, you know, working with people day to day. Hey, I'm going to a place, we're going to have some pot roast, you know, what, you know, can you help me on that? And that's just real stuff, and we love it, because that at its heart is what this program is about. It's day to day living, doing, not theorizing about it. We're doing it. And so so much I could comment on there. I love the you know, I don't think you meant them as a quote, but I jotted them down as quotes. The one, guilt is the gift that never stops giving. I've never heard that. That is phenomenal. And maybe, you know, certainly has some application in HealthPointe. That was the context that you put it in, but that's a great, I think, life lesson. You know, guilt is a gift that never stops giving. And then, you know, just kind of it just had a kind of a phonetic ring to it. You know, not a cheat meal, you know, a choice meal, a better choice. And I loved how you really went into that and kind of unpacked that, and particularly the mindset that goes along with the two different you know, phrases. You know, if somebody is even thinking in the terms, and again, we're not saying this in terms of a judgmental, because we've all had these questions. We all, you know, in the beginning, it's like somewhere there's some marketing company diet program out there, I'm sure, that it, you know, indoctrinated us with this idea of this cheat meal. I know it's out there. And it, you know, we don't come up with these terms on our own. It's because we've seen it, you know, 1,000 times, or heard it on a advertisement somewhere, that, you know, in this program, you're allowed to have a cheat meal. And that whole concept is just wrong. Again, not saying that you can't have some cake or a glass of wine or something like that, but this is a choice that you're making. It's not going into it with, ooh, I'm kind of getting away with this little cheat, you know, like, hey, here's my life over here where I want everybody to think I'm doing well, and here's my cheat, you know, meal that I'm going to do because, you know, this program allows for it. That's nonsense. That's not HealthPointe. That's not the way you know, that this program works, first of all. And so much in there. And but with that, we'll continue around the horn. I just kind of want to open it up here, because Oh, I see Bruce and Eileen there. Bruce and Eileen, good morning. If you want to unmute and say hello, I'd love to hear from you guys.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning, Eric and everyone.
So
Good
we're
morning.
on our favorite deck, which is the walking deck.
Look at you guys.
This is an amazing deck, and it's on the edge. It has the water, and we've used it every day. It's wonderful. And we have dinner where we don't have a set dinner time. We just join who's ever free. That's one way to do it here. And they're like, yeah, we saw you on the walking deck. So there's that.
Wow. And
Each night, we've been, dining with different ones, and somehow food always comes up. Of course, we're eating, and
I sneak my little salad dressing out of my purse. I'm like, you don't have to hide it. It's okay. I'm like, oh, thanks, because we don't want to have all the salad dressing all the time. So we brought our own Skinny Girl salad dressing from home. Anyway,
Eileen was able to, and we both were able to talk to a couple of different people about the program as well while we were eating.
so we have to give out Carol's video to 2 people. And I struggled a little bit this time. This is 7 months on the program for me. And the first cruise we did was a little easier. I was perfect. This one, I've been having a little bit of a harder time, but we're on week 6 of eating more food. And I gained 1 pound, which is typical for me, eating more food like that. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm real happy about that. Anyway.
wow, that is fantastic. And this is just so fun, guys, to
They
have you
look
on
so
here.
fantastic.
Yeah,
They
don't
look
they?
fantastic.
Yeah, so Julie is chiming in here, just saying you look so fantastic. I totally, I was going to say the same thing, Julie, because you just, we've seen you change before our eyes, and you guys just look lean and fit and happy, I guess. So is that kind of what you're saying, Julie?
Yes, I was gonna say two Saturdays ago that Eileen was an inspiration for me, because she started where I am starting, and she's doing it and looks fantastic. Maybe the sunshine helps, and maybe the location helps, but she looks really great, and I am following her lead. So thanks, Eileen.
Oh, thank you.
I do want to say also to Bruce and Eileen's horn that every single day they have sent me their accountability sheets and exactly how much they've, up 3 ounces, down 1 ounce. Every single day they've sent it, and every single day we've communicated. They made sure that they were able to communicate on one of their phones so they could stay in touch with their coach. And they've been a perfect example, and the people they've put on the program now are perfect examples of accountability because they learned that from Bruce and Eileen, and they've always been really, really good in that, and that's why they've been so successful. So you guys look great, and wow, excited for you.
You do. And for the new people or people that aren't familiar with your journey, Bruce and Eileen, help us with some basic numbers. When did you start the program? How many pounds are you down, and any other health parameters that you feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I'm down 8 pounds. I started end of mid-August last summer. Of course, it's gotten slower because I don't know, I'm closer to what I need to be. And my health numbers, I got rid of pre-diabetes. Sorry, I gotta mute us. Get an announcement.
Yeah.
You know the story. If you want to say it, go ahead.
Sure. And Carol, maybe you could chime in on some of this, but I think between the 2 of them, they're combined maybe 100 pounds down, maybe a 60 and 40 or something like that. I know with Eileen, we were thrilled to hear about her diagnosis of fatty liver had been halted, had, gosh, what were some of the other health parameters? Carol, maybe you remember?
Well, the prediabetes, her blood pressure and her cholesterol were normal where they weren't before when she started the program. And they cut her statin drugs in half. And Bruce was on a medication, and I believe they were able to cut that in half just recently. So it's not just about how you feel, even though that's what drives us sometimes. But boy, when you get that blood work done and the doctors hug you because they're so excited. And I think Eileen's mom, the same way, she went into her cardiologist and her liver doctor, and both of them reduced her medications. And one of them hugged her because they were so excited. And I'll have to say that Phyllis, the mom, is not 21 years old. So, the further along that we all move, we've been on medications for a long time. So those are really, really exciting stats. To me, much more exciting than the weight drop or getting into the little black dress. But believe me, it all works. It all works to motivate you. So
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so beautiful is it does, as we say, it doesn't have to be either or. It's not like, either you get into the little black dress or you have an improvement in your blood work, or you have an improvement in your blood work, but don't have the other. The beauty is you get both. It's and instead of or. So, well, Bruce and Eileen, we did see the thumbs up on camera here. I know you got background noise and everything there, but man, you guys look great. As Julie said, you just look fantastic, and you're just living the dream there. Go ahead.
So, as a woman, you want to look good, and all these dresses that I couldn't wear, really pretty things, and I could wear them on this cruise, and I'm just so comfortable. I didn't have to hide and suck in my gut, and I could just wear it and be comfortable. And it was such a treat to just feel comfortable. That's
love it. Love it. That is
the new you.
Great. The new you. And so fun. What a crazy program we have here, right? HealthPointe, where we can be zooming in from all over. I don't even know where you guys are at. You're on a boat somewhere on a cruise. You're probably in the Caribbean or something, someplace warm. So this is so crazy and fun. So thank you so much for chiming in here. And
Eric, can I mention one quick thing, and then I know you got other people, but I just want to implore people that are on this program and people that have been on the program and are coaches. Boy, don't overlook anybody. If you see someone, strike up a conversation with them. Eileen was a 2-minute conversation at a checkout line, and I quick gave her a card. And as she was checking out, I quick said, because she had a lot of clothes and she said she had put some weight on. So I said, well, I might have something that would be of interest to you, and gave her the card. Then when she was checking out, I said, throw me a text when you get in the parking lot and I will contact you. She did immediately. So that was maybe two minute that changed their life. So
wow.
Sometimes we overlook, that person won't listen to me, or that, or maybe not now, but maybe later on they'll listen to you. Just talk to everybody. And if the conversation goes there, embrace it.
Oh, I love that. Boy, I took a little lesson myself on that, Carol, because what you said there is not only did you give Eileen the card, but you suggested to her or asked her to send you a text when she gets back to her car or whatever. And that's huge, guys. That's huge to me anyways, because if you give, how many times have I gotten cards from people or received cards? I know Emily and I were recently at at a show in Novi, Michigan here, and you get cards from people and stuff like that. These are products or services that I'm interested in, and you know what? I still have those cards sitting around on the counter. But if they would have prompted me like, hey, when you walk out of the show or when you get a moment, shoot me a quick text, that would have made all the difference. And again, these are things that I'm interested in. So, presumably, Eileen was interested. You gave her a card, but then you did that little add-on of, hey, you invited her, hey, just go ahead and send me a text when you get back to your car or whatever. And, that may have, that little technique, like literally may have, well, it has changed their life. We see them now. We know it. Their life has changed. So, wow, great little tip. I know those of us that are coaching in here are making a note of that one, Carol. Thank you for that. We've got a little bit more time here. We started a few minutes late, so we've got a good amount of time left here. Anybody else want to unmute and chime in? I'll just kind of open it up for anyone. Any takers? Do I hear anybody? Anybody here?
I'll jump for 1 second.
Sure. David.
And one of many of us want to be influencers. So how HealthPointe has benefited us, and we see others and we're compassionate and we want to lift up others. And the challenge, at least for me, is how do I become a better influencer? And I can't remember the name. She's an emerald, a retired emerald from Indiana. Her husband passed away and she's kind of gone low profile. But I remember hearing her share at one time that when you get someone on the nail, let them sit there for a while. And my tendency is when I finally discover what it is you need, I've got the solution and I'm excited and I'm passionate and I'm sanguine and I probably go too crazy. And so, but it's important to sit on the nail so that when you're making those decisions about, do I want this or that? I personally go back to, when I'm making those decisions for myself, I remind myself of the nail and why I'm making, okay, I'll have, again, it's proportion size also. If I'm going to have something I shouldn't have, I consciously do it, knowing that I'm doing it, and I do it to a very small portion, and I make sure that I'm content with that. But again, when we're talking with people, be it vanity or be it their health, whatever it might be, once you discover what it is that is concerning that person, I think of Skip Ross, and one of his phrases was, tell me more. And so anyways, those are some of the things I'm working on. Actually, I'm seeing a lady this week who I shared HealthPointe with maybe 3-4 months ago. And I got back in touch with her and she's been ill. And all I can think about was, illness is expensive as well as buying good food. Signing off. Lastly, Chris is not with me today. She is well, but she's more dedicated to my grandson than she is to me. And so they're both watching Manchester United soccer in England. They're each in their own homes, but they're texting each other back and forth. Chris has her Manchester United Bing on to stack the odds that they're going to win today. And so I'm out here by myself. But anyways, all is well.
Actually, Nick's down my basement. They're watching it together with Michael.
This is so fun. This is so fun. David, great stuff there. Yes, I believe you're probably speaking of Vicky Brewer is who you're referring to there from Indiana. And
thank you. Your younger mind is better than mine.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, yes. And she's a absolute gem. And, that concept of sitting on the nail, and I know you've told the story before, David, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it. So you guys may have heard this story before. It's this kind of parable about, somebody that's, I can't remember the exact details of the story, but I'll give a quick brush at it, that he comes up to this guy, that's sitting on his porch, and he's got his hound dog next to him. And the guy, starts conversation with the old man that's sitting on his porch, and he's talking with him, and the whole time his dog that's sitting next to him is just kind of like moaning and groaning and just sounding awful with this moaning. And they're trying to have this conversation this whole time. This dog, this hound dog next to him is just just moaning and groaning. And finally the guy stops and asks the old man, he's like, what's going on with your dog? He won't stop moaning and groaning. And the old man, who's rocking on his chair, he says, he's sitting on a nail. And the guy says, he's sitting on a nail, he's moaning and groaning, why doesn't he get up and move? And the old man says, the nail's not deep enough. And so the lesson there, if I told the story basically right, is, and what you're referring to, Dave, is Vicky was saying, sometimes with ourselves, right? Or sometimes with others, that nail's got to get deeper. You can sit around moaning and groaning either internally or to others, and saying you want to do this different or that different or change or improve or whatever. And you're like the dog that is sitting there moaning and groaning, sitting on the porch, sitting on a nail. But there's a little bit of effort to get up and move and get off that nail that's causing that kind of that chronic pain. And just like the old man said, why hasn't the dog moved? Because the nail's not deep enough. There's not enough pain. And so it's kind of a humorous story that kind of hits with most of us. All of us can relate to it. Guys, I can relate to this, guys. I'll be transparent. My wife, Emily, who is on the program right now, and is, as all of you, and since she's on mute and she's running, she's training for her marathon. She's doing her long Saturday run here. So she won't have an opportunity to object to me saying that she's perfect. She would hate me saying that she's perfect. But let me just say what I mean here. So in the evening, she will routinely do stretches and just basically stretches. And, we might be watching a little bit of Netflix or something, but she does that. And of course, in her quiet way, she might even encourage me to do that, but I haven't, for the most part. I do a lot of other things, a lot of things I feel, great about and I'm doing right. But on that category, I'm like the dog sitting on the nail, just moaning and groaning. And what am I moaning and groaning about? Little bit of pain here and there, mostly kind of like some lower back type of stuff and so forth. And, but what did I start doing last night is I started doing some stretching. It doesn't take a lot, just about 15 minutes of stretching, kind of, you can YouTube this stuff on how to do like some stretches for lower back. But what was I before? I was like that dog. And if I'm not careful, if I don't build this into a habit, I'll continue to be like that dog that just sits there, sitting on the nail, moaning and groaning, and just boring people with my moaning and groaning because my back this, my back that, and that back stuff. I play pickleball, and maybe it's a stance that I'm using or whatever, but it is a little bit of lower back stuff that just takes simple stretching, but it takes a new habit, in the evening, simple to do, simple not to do, just get down on the floor, get the yoga mat out or whatever, and start building into the habit some certain stretches to work on that. And so one of these days I'll be like my perfect wife, and and have and also I'll say with her, she she looks like she would be like the most flexible, stretched out, person there is, for those that that know Emily. She just, when I first met her, I just assumed that, but her body was like stone, like concrete, and it just came from, I guess, years of sitting and doing, computer work, development work and stuff like that. But, she had her own sitting on a nail moment, right? Where she started doing these stretches and doing these exercises that worked out that concrete in her. And now she's, very limber, very, stretches and so forth, and loves it. So, guys, any other comments, going around the horn? Anybody else? Thank you for that, by the way, David, on that great stuff on Vicky Brewer, and that fact that we've got to let ourselves and let others sometimes just sit on that nail a little bit, get it to where they're a little bit more receptive, a little bit more ready. They're reaching out their hand. That's the other thing too, you kind of a metaphor. If somebody, if you're reaching your hand out to them and you're trying to, grab them and rescue them, that's not always very effective. They've got to at least reach their hand up and meet yours and grab on and want that. And the great thing is if we've got that, then, we can definitely help them. So,
I think the one liner that Vicky used to always say with that, tying right in with that, because I can remember her standing on stage and saying it, and she would say, you got to keep them in their pain. You got to keep them in their pain. And I thought, boy, for being a sanguine, feel good person, I want to uplift and get everybody feeling good all the time. But sometimes you do, the nail doesn't hit, the attack isn't painful enough. You got to keep them in their pain for a little while. And I agree with you. I learned years ago, being a business builder, that you cannot inject a goal into somebody. It has to be a goal that they want and they come up with. And the same way with the HealthPointe, you can't get a person to do HealthPointe, even though that they should. The doctors told them they should, and all the signs are that they should, until they decide that they want to do it and are willing to do it. All you're doing is hit the ball and drag Charlie, and that is not what this program's all about. It's about willing people that want to make willing and wonderful changes. So anyway,
I love it. And you just threw out a phrase there. We'll unpack that one next week, and that is the hit the ball and drag Charlie. If you don't know what that story is, guys, it's quite the visual. I love that, Carol. Hit the ball and drag Charlie. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm sure a number of us do. But we'll unpack that one next week, guys. Same time, same place, next Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait to see you guys again then. And until then, have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll say bye for now. Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Thanks,
Adios.
Eric.
Bye. Have a great weekend.